So how's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be talking about Blitzkrieg 3. So this is the third iteration in a series that's been ongoing since 2003, I believe the first game was released. Now, one of Blitzkrieg's sort of call to fame is the fact that while it is a real-time strategy game, it focuses much more on tactics than actual base building like a normal real-time strategy game will do. So I've been playing Blitzkrieg 3 now for about 11 hours. Yeah, it says 11 hours on Steam. And I think at this point, I have a relatively sound understanding of how the game works, even though there is a lot more to do even after 11 hours. So right now, we are currently in the second of 3 different campaigns. So the first campaign, I believe, is the Allies campaign. It's sort of the United States and United Kingdom against the Axis powers. So you will have a campaign that's takes place down here in the desert, true to a lot of the events that happened in World War II. That's another point that the developers make well known, is the fact that the game goes the extra mile to ensure authenticity and historical accuracy in terms of the events that take place and the battle scenarios that are set up. So I'm in the second campaign. The first one, of course, like I said before, was the Allies. It runs like 3 different eras. You have early war, mid-war, and then late war. I am currently on that first campaign. I'm in the late war stage of it, so it's basically winding down now, or actually probably building to a crescendo. But so I decided to switch over to the second campaign, so to speak. This is the Axis campaign, or it deals with Germany. Yeah, I don't think there's anything about Japan in here, but I could be wrong. So yeah, this is mostly focusing on Germany. I've completed a few missions already, but I haven't gotten to mid-war yet, and I haven't unlocked my research yet. And then there's the third campaign that focuses on the Soviets. So I'm not exactly sure if it does anything besides the USSR, like if there's China in it and some of those other Asian countries that are involved in sort of the Soviet stuff. One thing I should make a note of is I'm not overly familiar with World War II. Like I'm not a I'm not a history buff, I guess you could say. So like a lot of the historical accuracy that this game has is going to be lost to me. So I'm going to be focusing more on the mechanics and the actual story, and we'll see how it goes from there. So yeah, let's get started. How are things looking? At the moment, we are in the early war for the second campaign, the German campaign. You can see down here I have the units that I've unlocked so far. One thing you'll notice is the game does have a global chat, interestingly enough. This ultimately, what ends up happening because of this is even when you're playing single player, you can chat with global chat. It's always available there. And this means that the game requires an always online internet connection. So like if you do not have an internet connection, this actually happened to me. My internet went down for about an hour when I wanted to play the game. I couldn't play it at all. I didn't try putting Steam in offline mode, but when Steam was in online mode and then lost the connection, I could not play this game at all. So that is just something to keep in mind. It does have the global chat that's always available to you, even when you're in single player, but it means at the same time that the game requires a persistent online connection to maintain that. So if you're somebody who is only interested in the single player aspect of the game, that might not actually work too well for you. Okay, in the top left corner, I have my leader. I actually should switch to the other campaign so you can see this a little bit better. And this is another interesting decision, I think, that was made on the part of the developers. You got to go into the menu to actually change the faction, which I think can be a little bit misleading for people. So when you first start the game, you're presented with this screen here, and it has the various different faction choices. You know, the Soviets, the Axis, I suppose, and then the Allies. And you choose one and you click OK. And see, when I was first presented with this screen, I thought what they were saying was, you know, what localization are you interested in? Are you interested in the Chinese localization for the game, German localization, or English localization? No, it actually means that's the faction you're playing. This is where you select from the 3 different campaigns. So we're going to go back to the Allies campaign like that. And as you can see, it loads up a slightly different map. Now you'll see there are different missions available on the map. If we're currently in late war, like I said before, if we go to mid-war, you'll see different missions load. And early war, different missions load as well. And this, in my opinion, is a bit of a failure to accurately portray the information that's available on the map. So there are these various different icons that are available. They don't mean a whole lot because they're not connected by anything. So from my understanding, these 8-point stars are actually the ones that you need to complete to advance the story, and the 3-point ones are optional missions that you can play to unlock additional units. And it's kind of weird because the game does not seem to have the type of progression you'd want. Like, there's no campaign line. Like, you can't say, okay, we're going to draw a line from point A to point B to point C to point D, and you sort of march along that campaign route playing the historical battles as you go. That's not how it works at all. Instead, you're given, in the early war, you're given a cluster of different icons or different battles to play. Mid-war, given another cluster of icons to play. Late war, given another cluster of icons to play. As you can see, based on the color of each icon, I imagine that means the difficulty level that those missions are. That has generally borne true. Like when I played the Battle of Anslo, I believe that was a very difficult mission because it was basically the only one I needed to play to advance to the third era, or the late war period. In addition to this, we have research. So all of the units and stuff that you acquire in the game for each individual campaign have their own research trees. So we have the 3 different factions, the Allies, the Axis, and the Soviets. Each of them are going to have their own research tree, and each research tree is divided up into 4 categories: vehicles, infantry, weapons, and support, and each of those tabs is divided into the different eras. So if you haven't unlocked like the late war yet, you can't acquire these upgrades that are down here. And that sort of does limit you in terms of what you're allowed to bring into battle. So there are going to be units that are like down here. You can see these are my early war units. These are my middle war units. These are my early war units. And then right there, both of them together. I haven't unlocked any late war units yet because I just got here. But that sort of restricts what you can bring into battle, and it restricts the researches that you can give them, because the battles do increase in difficulty as you go along. Now, where should we go from here? Because the game offers you several different things. So right now we're just at the main menu sort of thing. This is the launching point for a lot of the missions. What the game actually involves is a lot more strategic the combat than a lot of real-time strategy games, though. And so, like, we can do a custom game here, different game maps. I haven't done any of those yet. Then there's also, in addition to the single player campaigns, there's also this battle with the AI. So the AI's name is Boris, and he's supposed to be a neural networked AI that can learn and improve based upon your playstyle. So far I've won 1 battle against him in the German campaign, and overall he seems fairly competent at what he does, but I would have to play more to really see if the AI develops in its tactics any. But really, it should be possible because the game overall is not as complex as a lot of real-time strategy games because it focuses much more on troops and managing them. So let's go ahead and jump into... I would try and do a mission that I've already done, or we could do a new one, see what happens. So let's launch this mission here. You can see we have a commander. You can choose different commanders, and they provide you with different perks. So in other words, if you want a commander that helps boost your artillery, you'd probably want somebody like Dwight D. Eisenhower. I believe the one that we were going with was Archibald, and he boosts something. I'm not even sure. One of the problems I have to say that I found with this game is there is a lack of tooltips in terms of a lot of the information that the game has. So like you can hover over vehicles and stuff like this and it'll give you this kind of information, but for other stuff, like if we go into the leader screen right over here, these are the leaders that you can select, and like I said before, they provide various buffs to your infantry and your tanks and stuff. But like they give you history about him. They don't tell you really what he does. Like you can hover over these icons. It doesn't give you any information. Right here is the only information you really get. So you can see all these stats that are either increased or decreased depending upon whatever the base level is. And I just find it's a little like it needs more information there, I think. And then there are also like reward units. I'm not even sure how you get these. I think I've gotten these already. Like how long it takes to unlock them. A lot of this stuff is not made abundantly clear. And this commander I still have not gotten to level 1, so I don't know exactly what happens when I get to different levels. But one of the things you'll notice that even with the vehicles and stuff themselves, they also have levels. So in other words, we take a look at the Studebaker M1. This is currently a level 2 unit. You can also see I have other level 1 units. So all of the units gain experience in the game as you play with them. And this affects their specs. So in other words, like accuracy has increased to 66% versus, wait, that's not right. 66 is still the same. Chance of damaged optics, 3.5. Chance of damaged optics, 1.5. Okay, well, we can obviously see this stat here increased over the levels. But like that's another thing. In terms of unit leveling, they really never described why or what the benefit to leveling your units up is. They barely even touched on it. The game has a very basic introduction to it. They kind of just throw you in the thick of things and then sort of expect you to learn on the fly, which is okay. Like, I don't necessarily need a tutorial that lasts an hour, but at the same time, I think it would be really nice just to have the additional information available for a lot of this stuff, so that way you could read more about it, like what these icons here mean, because there is no tool. Just a simple tooltip would go a long ways to helping the player be able to self-inform or like self-educate, because you just can't find this kind of information anywhere. They don't have a guide or a manual for the game at all. Like there is no additional information other than what's presented here in the game, and it's kind of bare bones, to be honest. Up here we have our rankings for the different skirmish matches and stuff. Combat rankings in the assault base mode. So the game does have multiplayer as well, but I think I've already rambled on long enough without actually playing any actual missions, so let's get into it. Operation Messina. According to our intelligence, the Germans' HQ is in this area, and a high-ranking officer is there to stay. Your mission is to capture him. So we need to capture the retreating German officers, and we get to select our various troops here. So I have a lot of different historically accurate tanks and whatnot, and you'll find in this game tanks play a large role. They're kind of your first and foremost military. So let's select a few of them. You'll see the number of units we can have is a bit limited there. One thing I wish is that there was a more general category for a lot of these vehicles, because the thing is there are subtle but sometimes important differences between them. So like you have your light, light tanks, then you have your medium tanks. This the Matilda Mk2 is a medium tank, and then you have heavy tanks. Where is my heavy tank that I usually use? Right here, the Char B1 BIS is a heavy tank, and while they are in that category, like those are heavy tanks, at the same time they have different guns on them. So like the Char 1 BIS does not have a very good, I mean, it has a howitzer on it, but it doesn't have armor piercing guns like maybe that's not right. Like the 105 howitzer, millimeter howitzer. I don't know. Some of these guns, they're not self-evident to me, but like you can see here with the M7 Priest, this tank only has a howitzer on it. So like if you're involved in close quarters combat with infantry, it's not going to be able to do anything because it just has that howitzer which can fire like a cannon fires. Whereas the Char 1 BIS, it has the howitzer and then it also has a 47 millimeter SA-34 gun on it, which can shoot at closer range or can engage infantry at a close range, right? Then we also can like choose a howitzer. I think the howitzer is artillery basically. Let's kick one of these other tanks out of here. Let's kick out the M5. And then we will probably want like a couple of infantry. Overall, the infantry are pretty weak, especially if you don't know what you're getting into. So I generally reserve or save that for the reserves and call them in later. And now comes the part of it where everything sort of falls apart. So this is a problem that's been known to happen. And it happened to me several times while playing it. It's definitely a problem. The game it's stuck. it's not going to load the mission, unfortunately. I'm going to have to restart it, which is a pain in the ass, to be honest about it. These are the kind of crashes that should not happen, because I'm not doing anything. You know, I'm sitting here at the main screen. There's no reason the game should crash before I even really load anything. Oh my god. Yeah, it crashed. That's sad. Okay, we're back, and we're going to try to enter the battle this time. So apparently, it didn't register the last 2 units that I had included. After it crashed, it didn't register them, and then I forgot to bring them back in again. So we're not going to have any infantry to start with. But as you can see, right here is the map. That radio is going to be talking quite a bit. You'll find that out. So if we take a look at what are our currently objectives, top left corner, capture the commandant's headquarters. You can see it right over here on the mini-map and on the main map. If you want to find out what your objectives are, sort of take a look at the mini-map. There will be icons on there, like little pins pointing to where it should be. And in this case, it shows a little flag over it. And if you left click on it, it will tell you what mission that's for, because a lot of the times there will be multiple objectives in one single mission. So here we start in a railway yard. As you can see, I think it looks really good. Like overall, the landscape and everything, the assets, the building models and everything are very detailed, considering it's simply sort of a real-time strategy game. So it's a good looking game. It's just, it has some stability issues in terms of lagging and frame rate spikes. So from time to time, you'll notice like I'm scrolling around, or I can use WASD as well, scroll around the map. And from time to time, there would just be these drops, these sudden drops in frame rate. Most of the time it runs at a solid 60, but then inexplicably, sometimes it'll drop all the way down to like 10 before it jumps back up. And as you can see right there, I managed to drive over that wall of the tanks, much in the classic Blitzkrieg fashion. A lot of things are actually destructible. Tore that wall down. But then at the same time, sometimes there'll be icons and things on the map that you just can't just tear down no matter what. So as you can see, ran in there, backed over a tree. It's all good. Like you can go ahead and tear down entire forests with these units sometimes. Can we get in here? Like sometimes it's not always apparent where you can go. Yeah, apparently it can go through there. It tore down a tree, but to get over to this other side, we would need to actually go all the way around. So there's a lot of dynamic environment interaction. So like we could just go ahead and drive down this entire wall and watch it crumble. You can drive over destroyed tanks and stuff with your other tanks, and it just blows them right up. So, I mean, that's pretty cool on a visual level, but then you're probably wondering, you know, how does that contribute to the overall gameplay mechanics? And the thing is, units can hide in shrubbery and stuff. So it's certainly possible to go ahead and knock down a whole bunch of trees, and then the infantry can no longer hide in there very well. So here we have a whole bunch of our tanks. In general, what I end up doing a lot of the time is just grabbing all of them and sending them at the same time, because there are differences between them. Right now, all we have here are medium tanks and light tanks. You can tell because of the icon above them. The light tanks have a little circle, and the medium tanks are just like a flat green block. I'm not sure what this must be a special symbol. That's an interesting thing. Oh, is it because I have a promotion for this unit? That might be why. But yeah, it's a medium tank, I'm pretty sure. Isn't this? It should be giving, okay. You gotta hover over it like this. Oh, it's a tank destroyer. That's the reason it has the diamond. Yeah, the icons are not the most obvious, but you'll get used to them after a while. Yeah, so this is the tank destroyer. This is a light tank. This is a medium tank, and the heavy tank has a little slash going through it. And as you can see with this unit, it actually has the age or the era 2 sort of stripe next to it. If you see right next to the right of the name, there are 2 little bars. Or is this one? Okay, no, maybe it's this one. All of these seem to have 2 bars next to them. Here is one, the Matilda Mk2 Tank. It only has 1 bar because it's from that first era, so to speak. Oh, and I almost overlooked it. Right here is my heavy tank. See, that is one of my problems. The Char 1 bis. This is my problem with it, though. Like, this information... Oh, see, now it does pop up. I was hovering over it before, and these cards were not popping up. And you'll notice that's one of the problems. Like, you go into reserve here. This is how you call in additional units when you have enough points. And you can't get the intricate details of any of these units. Like, I want the information that pops up for here, for the normal units when I hover over these units. Because like I said before, even if I know it's a medium-sized tank, which a lot of them it doesn't really tell you, even if I know it's a medium-sized tank, I have no idea what kind of guns are on it. It might not have a close-range machine gun. It might not have a howitzer on it. So those things are important regardless of whether it's a light tank or a heavy tank or medium tank, because it makes a difference. So what this relies on instead then is you're sort of expected to actually know the stats for every one of these individual tank units, and a lot of them are, I mean, there are a lot of these and they're subtly different from one another. It's not just a difference of class. And then of course here we have the artillery. The artillery is really cool. I've been using it a little bit more. It's a howitzer, and since the game it focuses a lot on strategic placement of a lot of units and stuff, or maneuvering units very strategically, I found the howitzer to be invaluable to make sure that my units don't take unnecessarily large amounts of damage, because one of the things that you'll notice is that you can't actually heal any units in this. So there are no mechanics to repair tanks, for example. If your tank takes damage, it's going to maintain that level of damage until it's destroyed. So you gotta kind of be a little bit more cautious sometimes. I wish I did have my infantry though. That would have been good because I could send them into buildings, sort of scout out. When you have units in buildings, they actually have a longer range, so it makes it a lot easier to just scout things out using infantry, send them into buildings, take over buildings and stuff. So that was an unintended consequence here of setting this stuff up. But there's the howitzer. Bring that along. You can see it just drove over a whole bunch of this marketplace, blew something up, it drove over a couple of buildings. Oh, and here we have a it's a tank destroyer. So I should probably pull back a little bit here. This is one of those situations where the infantry would be quite valuable. So when it comes to backing stuff up, like you have this command here where you can tell all the tanks to back away from something, so that way they actually are going to be able to shoot at whatever it is they're retreating from. I find this especially valuable when it comes to dealing. Oh, okay, there's some infantry, and he's bombing me. He already stuck my tracks. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, but you can pause. This is one aspect I do like. So if you're somebody who sometimes feels overwhelmed by real-time strategy games, in the single-player mode for Blitzkrieg 3, you can always pause the game and analyze your situation and issue commands. So for example, I could click each and every single one of these tanks and then give them orders as to where they'll go, and then when I unpause it, they'll actually execute that. So I could go there, let's retreat all of those tanks, and you'll see. Now they're going to head over into that direction. Of course, as it turns out, that area is not accessible, so that was a mistake on my part. But yeah, it would have done it. Okay, so what's going on here? We got some units running at us. I really could have used the infantry, to be honest. That was a sad mistake or oversight, and my artillery is taking a lot of damage here, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. So I know there's a tank destroyer right about here, so I can tell my artillery to fire at that area. As you'll see, they'll rotate around and then fire. You can have them fire at areas even if you don't know what's there. And I guess we just patrol the city streets with these tanks and then see what's what. Infantry do have their place. They're not the kind of troops you want on the front lines, but they are very valuable at taking buildings and sort of scouting kind of stuff like that. So I don't want to devalue their importance in the game. They certainly have a role. It's just in general, your assault troops are going to be armored infantry rather than the actual guys running around. Oh, am I taking damage? Like, it seems to me I just saw something else fire here. This unit is charging. What's it shooting at? Oh, I'm under fire. Let's see if we. I really wish I had my infantry. There is nothing that quite replaces a balanced fighting force here. Yeah. My artillery got destroyed. So let's just go ahead and restart. This will give me an opportunity to show you what it looks like to quit. You can't simply restart. You have to leave the battle, and then you click retreat, and this will be recorded as a defeat. So let's go ahead and return to globe, and from there we'll load up and see what's what. So that was a failure overall. That's not the one. Let's try it again, and this time oh, maybe that's what happened. Maybe it crashes when you have too many units, or more units than what you have space for. That would be an interesting bug. Okay, so I wanted a couple of infantry. I think infantry are good. Let's enter the battle again and see what happens. And this is an important aspect to Blitzkrieg, because a lot of the times you're going to be and it crashed again. My goodness, this is annoying. Like, if I had, like, this has to be my biggest gripe with the game. When you have to restart it every single mission because it just it doesn't crash proper, like it just doesn't do anything. But I mean, like, of all the annoyances with this game, like even the fact that there are no info cards for your reinforcements, this is a bigger pain in my ass than that. And it's one of those things. How hard can it be to fix something like this? This shouldn't happen every single mission. You know, I'm trying to show the good side of this game, but it just keeps working against me. Oh my goodness. So obnoxious that it keeps failing. Will it load? Yay, it loaded! It just requires me to restart the game every single time I want to do this mission over again. Okay. We have some infantry now. We have some infantry. So, let's try this again. Let's get everything going. Let's roll out. We'll try to approach this a little bit more tactfully. But I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by a crash that this is a classic of the Blitzkrieg formula, is that you're expected to have to play the same scenario multiple times because there is usually a certain formula that works best when approaching it, and you sort of have to figure out where the gun emplacements are and everything like that, and you're going to lose units when scouting for those things and whatnot, and you're going to run into ambushes, but then you reload it and play it again, and you do much better at it. So overall, like, that's to be expected. The problem is with the crashing, or just being unresponsive in general. It's not a hard crash, but it just locks up and you can't do anything. You can't press escape. There's no way out of it except ALT4 or ALTF4. So, you know, it's a sad state. It should be fixed. It can't be that difficult. I don't know if it's just me, but it's been happening ever since I was playing the game. Usually I can get through a few missions before it actually happens, but apparently this time, since I was under pressure here and I was actually demonstrating the game to an audience, yeah, it had to go ahead and crap out on me. We have infantry fire here. See, ideally I would want to get my tanks that have the mini machine guns closer with these infantry, but at the moment I'm just putting my infantry in buildings, so that'll help. They're much more defensive when in buildings. As you can see, they're engaging from the building with these units over here, and the thing is they'll take a fair amount of damage while being in the building though, so we might just want to exit. And I'll send them over here to one of these other buildings. So if you look at the buildings, you can see above them they have a couple of bars. Those bars indicate how many garrisons or how many units of troops they're going to garrison. Sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's two, other times it's as much as three. I think sometimes it's even four in really big buildings, but yeah, okay. We have, if I can rotate the camera, rotating the camera is also a pain with the default key map settings because you have to use home and insert instead of like Q and E like a normal RTS. But I think you can remap that. That might just be a thing with the localized stuff. So we look at controls. Can we remap these? No. Yeah, okay, so that is a bit of a pain in the ass because a lot of RTS games that I've played, like pretty much all of them, you can always rotate the map with Q and E. Right, so you're using WASD to mouse around. You can rotate it with Q and A. In this case, I always have to take my hand off the mouse and then use home and insert, or I have to take my hand off of WASD, use home and insert. It's unconventional. I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but that's just me. Okay, can this artillery shoot? So if you hold down ALT, you can see the range of all of your units. Like if we click this tank, you can hold down ALT, you'll see the range. Part of it's a spotting range, the other part's a firing range. So the blue range here is how far I can spot. The red range here is how far out I can fire. So we have a medium-sized tank coming in. We actually want to get our infantry out of here because dealing with medium-sized tanks, they'll knock your infantry out of buildings pretty fast. And then I would also like to send more of my medium-sized tanks up ahead to deal with that, and we'll try to bring the artillery in here a little bit closer, I think. And grab those infantry and get them somewhere else. Not sure where it would be the best place to station them. Let's get them in there, I suppose. So a lot of the time, ooh, oh boy, that tank has a pretty big gun on it, doesn't it? What does it say? Come on, come on, give us the tooltips. Yeah, so it has a 75mm gun on it. Yeah, that's pretty strong. So like it hit my Sherman tank, which has front armor of 50mm. So yeah, it's definitely going through. Wait, back towards that target. See, my artillery is firing a little bit right there. Oh, even this tank, the Matilda doesn't have much armor either. Really, it says 75 armor. But I mean, like one shot from this tank brought it down halfway. Yeah. That is a very strong tank, I will admit. But we can see what kind of range it has, see? Like that. So try to get it out of the range. And let's get my infantry out of here as quickly as possible. Oh, the tank is down. So my howitzer is usually proving invaluable at these times of war. In the earlier episodes, it wasn't as big of an issue. Like I could get through it just by running my tanks in places and then just bullying my way through, I guess. But yeah, I'm taking a fair amount of damage here, which is a shame. And you can see there's a fair amount of unit collision going on here. So like there are a whole bunch of units in the street, and the other units obviously can't just drive right through them. So they're driving over around here. And that heavy actually don't want you to go over there. Let's see here. There's a lot of urban fighting going on. So one of the things, you don't want your tanks to get too close to infantry because they'll blow you up. Yeah, they have like little hand grenades and they can actually sort of dynamite you. So it encourages you to make sure your tanks keep their distance. Okay, I want this tank to turn around. You can make them turn around by selecting them and then pressing R. Tell them to turn around in that direction. Because otherwise they have a tendency to back towards a location if they're already faced in another location. There should be a tank destroyer somewhere up here, right? So we probably want to stop there. It'll be interesting to see exactly what comes of this. So yeah, those are just infantry, right? Like this would be an aspect that I wish you could, adjust the tooltips to make sure they come up really fast, but you can't at the moment. Overall, it's not too big of it's not something I'm like, fighting all the time because of it, but it's a quality of life improvement that I would like to see change. Yeah, so as you can see, my artillery is doing some nice damage like that. It's a good thing. So one thing I've been doing quite a bit is like jumping inside buildings to scout areas. And then seeing where, like right there, okay, we have a tank destroyer or two. And as you can see, now that I've spotted it, my artillery is actually within range. So where is the artillery? We can just always select it from the unit cards here. And then you can hold down ALT and you can see it's within range. So it's going to be firing at it. It's not going to hit it all the time. Obviously, there's a chance it misses, but usually it does a pretty good job. And that's going to be really the only realistic way I can deal with these tanks. These tank destroyers, because I can't approach them with other tanks. There we go. And like I could do it with infantry, but even like the infantry that are designed to destroy tanks are overall pretty weak. Like they die really, really fast. So in general, I don't use them. So now this tank, I believe it actually has a howitzer on it. So if we take a look at its range, yeah, it can hit. So this tank, that's a cool thing about it. It's like an artillery, except it actually has it has the howitzer on a more mobile platform. So it's pretty cool. Like, there was a lot of diversity in terms of the different units that you have available to you. Overall, it said that they're historically accurate, but I have no idea how true that is. As I said before, I'm not a history buff in terms of the World War II events and stuff. Let's see if we can get the artillery to actually fire at the tank now. I mean, obviously my other... Let's see here. Yeah, I can shoot now. Obviously, the M7 Priest is doing a very good job of hitting it. Like that. And, you know, that's the kind of thing you have to come to expect with Blitzkrieg. Actually, it's hitting the church now. It missed and hit the church right there. You can see the damage faded after a bit, though. But if you're expecting like more conventional RTS gameplay, that's not really what Blitzkrieg is about as a game. Blitzkrieg 3, the entire series is not really about that. It's about this more methodological approach to various situations, various scenarios that are set up. And let's try to get this building over here, the capital as well. Apparently it was out of range. Let's see. Can it shoot now? I'm just curious. Yeah. So at the same time, we could go ahead and, you know, pull our infantry out of this building and tell them to go assault that capital. And then they'll run over there and take a lot of fire. They'll probably get killed on the journey over. Get in that building, as a matter of fact. Yeah, but you can have units assault a building instead. At the moment, though, I think it just makes more sense to go ahead and shell them out of there with artillery and tanks and stuff. But this is a lot of what Blitzkrieg is about. It's not about your traditional base building sort of 1,000 clicks per minute real-time strategy, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why I kind of like it, because there are I think there are enough. Let's not say too many. I think there are enough strategy games like that out there right now, and it's nice to sort of take a break from that and enjoy some strategy or real-time strategy games that focus a lot more on the tactics themselves rather than having to worry about if you're fast enough, you know, to be competitive. You know, we're chilling out here. We're doing a single player game, and we're not overly worried about that. Okay, the area is now under my control. Did they just commandeer one of my tanks? Capture the commandant's headquarters. Well, let's see here.
But we interrogated one of the soldiers. He said that they were evacuated to the northern part of the city. If we hurry, we can catch up to them.
Okay, so one objective has been completed. We have another objective that comes up, and honestly, I think that is where we could probably leave it for now. It's like right now we have capture the officer as an objective. If we take a look at the map again, there's a pin over here, so we got to go travel all the way to the other side of the city to do this, and a lot of it's going to be the same. You're going to use different tactics every time because the scenarios are going to be different, but overall, a lot of it is sort of like this, where you're just moving from one place to another, completing objectives, and that's how you win. At the end of a mission, I would just leave this battle. Wait, we can save. This is an important part. You can save the game at any time, which is really cool, because then you can pick up at that point in the game later if you have to go away for some reason, or if you just simply wanted to save your progress and you didn't, because some of these scenarios, they can take upwards of 2 hours to complete if you go block by block and you're sort of clearing the area out. So it's pretty tragic when you make like one mistake and then you'd have to play that whole scenario over again. So the saving feature is important to me, but we're going to retreat from that. And Allies Enthusiast, I got a Steam achievement for that. But apparently I actually did get a couple of rewards for this. So these are the cards I was talking about. This is what I wanted to show you. At the end of every single mission that you complete successfully, you'll be given these cards, and it's sort of added to that pool of cards that you can see right here. All of these cards, you just unlock more of them like that. And I have a couple of crushing defeats now here on my record, but let's switch campaigns back over to the Germans, because it's an entirely separate campaign, And now we should be able to go ahead and take a look at my battle reports for Germany. So here was the skirmish that I played. We can go ahead and watch the replay. The standard single player games, you can't watch replays, but for the skirmishes, you can. This was the one I played with Boris. So as you can see here, this is a standard replay. It's playing at ×1 speed. They're going to be giving me information. The objective is to capture and hold these points, of course. There are 3 points on the map. My opponent starts over here somewhere. I start here, and as you can see, I'm making moves. So went ahead and tried to take over both of these areas, this one as well as this one over here, and we could go ahead and speed this up ×2 ×4. So if you're interested in just watching a quick replay of it, you can go ahead and see that. I'm not sure how well the frame rate's going to be doing, but you can see I'm doing a hostile takeover here of this area. And captured both of these points. You can see up on top my points are increasing relative to his. Mine are going up much faster, so he's going to come and try to challenge me with a tank right there. Got a couple of shots off before I went ahead and fired at him. Got that knocked down. Over on this side, you can see some more combat going on. Back to the first point. Destroyed a tank there. Destroyed another one here. It's going too fast to actually see a lot of it, but he's challenging me in both areas. Since this was the beginner tutorial for it, I didn't get much out of it. But as you can see, I didn't get much of a challenge, but as you can see, the points are increasing up there. Our reserve is capped at 305. You can see in the top right, top left bar, there's a limit to how many points you can get. But overall, this wasn't that difficult of a skirmish. So I don't think it's exemplary of what you can expect later on. But that gives you a basic idea of what skirmishes are about in this game. And this is the one I played with the AI. And that was a replay at ×4 speed. So, overall, I think that covers a lot of what the game is about. There aren't any microtransactions like that or anything in it, despite the fact that these characters do level up and despite the fact that there is research and stuff like that. And I think the game is priced very reasonably for what it's offering here. If you've played any of the previous Blitzkriegs, this is largely, I think, going to be mostly a graphical upgrade over those because a lot of the gameplay mechanics themselves are fairly similar. But at the price point, I think it's pretty reasonable. I think it's $30 for the game, and you get pretty much everything you would want. You can upgrade to the $50 version if you want a couple of different tanks, and I think the ability to have your name appear differently in the chat, in the global chat. So if I type hi, we should be able to see it, and it's going to make me look bad, isn't it? Hello. Apparently global chat is down. I'm not sure what's up with that. Yeah, but supposedly you're... Oh, wait. Maybe it connected now. Hi. Yeah, so your name will appear differently if you buy the $20 bonus pack for it or whatever it is. But wow, this has gone on long enough. Yeah, that's Blitzkrieg 3. It has some downsides. Especially that crash. Ooh, that is annoying. Especially when you're trying to record it. Then, like, I've got 3 different files now that I have to deal with when splicing this whole thing together because I couldn't record it in one sitting. That is a bug that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. But aside from that, I think it's fairly competent. It looks great. Really have no problem with that at all. All of the units are very detailed if you go ahead and look at them in game. A lot of subtle animations on them and stuff like that. Obviously not as good as stuff like Warhammer 40,000 by Creative Assembly, but you compare the budgets of those two and it's obvious that the units are going to have the same sort of animations between troops. So it's kind of to be expected that they're not all going to have unique individual animations, but overall I like the graphics are really good for a real-time strategy game. The mechanics I think are solid. It's something different in terms of real-time strategy. I've said this before. I think we have enough real-time base building strategy games that are too reliant upon how many clicks per minute you have to get, and then you're constantly flipping between your base building and the actual war you're fighting. It's nice to be able to just focus on the war the full time, and then you just call in additional troops using the reinforcement system rather than have to worry about building a base with them. So I really like that, and it just really suits my kind of playstyle, especially single player. I think the game is especially strong in single player. If you're not somebody who's very concerned about single player, if you're more multiplayer focused, Blitzkrieg 3 might not be as good for you, because obviously there are not as many players playing the multiplayer, since the single player is a big focus of it. And at the moment, I imagine a lot of the players who got into it are still completing the campaigns, so they haven't gone in search of anything else yet. But that is my opinion of Blitzkrieg 3 after 10 hours. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.